What's going on, all the great people in all of the great land? It's your guy, Nicholas Wilcox. It's your guy, Johnny Main. Johnny, say what's up to the great people.
What up? What up? Week 5, ready to get live, ready to do this, rejuvenated, energized, putting week 4 behind me like the great Bill Belichick. We're on to Cincinnati. So week 5, let's get to it, man. I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
Are you now?
Yeah.
Well, are you ready?
Are you ready?
NFL Week 5, the fantasy football show in your TV or phone screens. Yo, DFS, your props, your bets, your last minute starts and sits. Any questions you got, drop them in the chat. We out here ready to rock and roll. We're going to be, if you're first time here in the show, we break down every game in terms of thoughts, in terms of patterns that we're seeing. We pick sides, we pick potential points, whatever have you. Again, if you're, checking us out for first time, follow us on the Twitter. Like and subscribe to the channel because this is your one-stop shop for all things in terms of your fantasy football needs. So, Johnny, let's break it down. First game we're going to go over is going to be one of those games where things can get a bit like messy-ish. Talk about the Broncos getting 4.5 points going into Philly. Take on the Eagles. The over-under 43.5 currently, according to DraftKings Sportsbook. What are you saying to this game? I got my notes for how both of these teams trends-wise have been going. But obviously it's one of these marquee matchups where it's like you got, cross-rival conference teams coming in. And you have also where, there's a lot of talk from the Eagles side of things with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown about them not being involved in offense enough. And Denver coming into town, like this is like a good setup for terms of like how both teams may view each other in terms of potential Super Bowl aspirations. So what are you saying?
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you're saying as far as like this is a marquee matchup, right? These are two teams, obviously. Killing me today. My headphones. One team that is obviously coming off of a Super Bowl win. The other team, outkicked their coverage last year. So you got the Denver Broncos here going into Philly, man. And this is one of those spots where I think like we talked about a little bit last week. Philly hasn't been like Philly from last year dominant. And I think obviously we're seeing the impacts of obviously Kellen Moore no longer being there calling plays. Talked about A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Almost 80% of the plays that they've run this year, I believe, have actually been out of the gun. So that's like wild to think about that, like they're running out of the gun at that clip and then just not getting those guys involved. And like we're waiting on A.J. Brown. And I know I'm waiting on A.J. Brown. And there's people that are waiting on Saquon Barkley as well, as crazy as that seems, man, right? But the one thing we do know, and the one thing I was confident in all off season is Jalen Hurts being that guy. And Jalen Hurts is definitely that guy. One thing for both of these teams to call out just from like a prop perspective or even just like from like a DFS or fantasy side, both these teams actually have a tough time covering the running backs as far as pass catching. So might be something to think about with RJ Harvey. I actually threw a prop in today. I think his line was like 16 or something, 16 yards on DraftKings. I think J.K. Dobbins was like 4.5. So like I did something like that. Just from overall, from like a game selection side of things, it's hard to pick against the Eagles. It's very hard to pick against them. They are the ugliest undefeated. Yeah, I think they're still undefeated. The ugliest undefeated team in the NFL. But you have to think about it, right? Like, and I think we seen that last week with Baker Mayfield and the Bucks. Man, like it's an ugly undefeated, but that's what they're doing. Not a lot of people getting to this game, and I think obviously we know why the Eagles run plays at a rather slow pace. So obviously that's probably going to bog the game down and limit opportunities, but. Highest owned player in this game as far as DraftKings goes is Saquon Barkley at 14%. A.J. Brown coming in at 10%. The highest owned Bronco is Cortland Sutton at 5%. So this will be an interesting matchup. I'm not interested in this game as far as like DFS, as far as stacking this game. Although, ironically enough, like the Broncos have been in weird games where they've like given up like 1,000 points and it's had to go back and forth, ironically enough. But yeah, man, like give me the Eagles on the money line for sure. Do I think the Broncos can keep it close? Yeah, I think they can. But I'm just not going to dip my toe into this water here as far as this game goes.
Notes wise for this from my end is that Philly still is the second most run heavy team in the National Football League. They're also the fourth slowest in pace. So I guess when it comes from a DFS side of things, like Troy Franklin 4K today, and that could be a spot where if you want to get a little bit different off the running back values today, that's a spot where I think a lot of people are going to be going. Troy Franklin's still, he's pretty much a wide receiver too in this offense. And when it comes down to it, I like the Broncos plus 4.5, just because I know they have all the weaponry to keep this thing close. And they also, if this, let's just say, I know the Eagles have been playing their best ball. But I think Denver, when it comes to close games, they have all the tools. Like I said, their defense still best. They still have their overall line of scrimmage. They're still one of the top teams as far as offensive line and defensive line goes. They're still one of the top units in the NFL as well. So this game really just comes down to who may turn over the football, who might have, that weird special teams play. That's why I was saying this might be a weird game, because it will come down to like who may make a critical error in this one. The over-under, I'll probably just take the slight over, just because this could be a game where it starts off slow, but then all of a sudden the points start picking up. I think 43.5 for these two teams, that it gets a little crazier. Like we talked about, the Eagles defense, especially their secondary, hasn't been the same secondary as it was previously last year. That was something that was like really a short thing in terms of like what they really shored up last year. And that's something where until I see more confidence in that unit, there still could be opportunities for other teams to score on this secondary for sure. So yeah, was there anything else you wanted to? Nope.
No, I think you covered it pretty well, man.
All right. Giants Saints, pretty much a pick 'em. Giants getting 1.5 on the road as a road underdog. Over under is 42.5. The Saints give up the third most fantasy points per game per dropback. They also give up the second most points to outside receivers. The number one team, Dallas, which we'll talk about later. The Giants lead the NFL in man coverage rate. We'll get to that in a moment. So this game, I feel, is an easy over. Both of these teams, Saints play at a high pace. We know Jackson Dart has implemented himself into this offense where they're running more run option plays with him, and literally up-tempoing him up with the whole offense. So I guess I would take a stab at this one. I'll say the Giants can win this one because they just beat a really pretty impressive Chargers team that we know that defensive unit, I think, just had somewhat of a bad day in some capacity. But also, I think the Giants defense is definitely something a bit underrated in terms of metrics. I know they give up a lot of yards and whatnot, but they're still a defensive unit that's still okay, solid, and pretty much a bend but don't break type of defense in some capacity. So, yeah, give me the Giants in this one. Give me the over. Again, like I think the player that DFS-wise, I think you could go to Spencer Rattler, 4,800 for their very low-owned and cheap play if you want to go that route. With Rattler, like I talked about, Giants lead the NFL in man coverage rate. Rattler, deep ball rate increases to 20% against man. So what does that mean? It means that Shaheed and Olave, they both have 30% target shares on the year. You can also go to those plays as well for secondary purposes. So I do think that in a game that I do think can get a bit more, it's a sneaky over-under, where I think those pieces are not – they're not exactly primary pieces. Like you'd get a little bit different if you want to go Jackson Dart, obviously, too. There's a lot of different ways you can go in this game. And obviously, Alvin Kamara, if this ain't the week for Alvin Kamara, we got to really reconsider what his value is moving forward, because Kendrick Miller was chopping at his heels and whatnot too. So So yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, I like the Giants. I mean, not the Giants, but the Saints actually in this game, man. I think like they've, we talked about it a little bit last week too, man. Like they've been playing better. And I don't want to say better, but they've just been a tough out. And I think the Giants last week again talked about it, like emotionally charged. Last week, obviously got Jackson Dart making his first start last week.
Yep.
So there's a lot of things, a lot of things to be excited about, right? So I think now, you get a team who's very similar and on the same playing field. For me, I think I think it gets different, and we know how New Orleans can be at home. You mentioned about Olave and his target share, like still waiting really to cash in on that side of things. Like with all the targets, right, the production hasn't necessarily been there. So that's somebody, I'm not playing him on DraftKings. I only did like 2 lineups this week on DraftKings. But I think that's definitely a place like you could get to. Kamara is like grossly underowned at 3%. And a lot of his production has just came with.
Really? Huh. Well, I know all the running back plays today.
Yeah, grossly.
Lost in the sauce.
No, grossly underrated. Or underowned, I should say, at 6%. So like, hey, if the Giants do show a light box, that'll favor Kamara, as that's a place that he's been, he's actually been successful at. But the other side of the coin too, man, is Giants defensive line is actually pretty damn good. So I think that's an interesting matchup that, you'll have to pay attention to as well. And then you talked about it, man, Spencer Rattler, 5 touchdown passes this season, just to 1 interception. So obviously he's been giving you production, or if you have him, he's been giving you production in that space. So that's something I think like you have to take into consideration. A lot of the pass catchers for the Saints are definitely in play for sure. In GPP, and we know about the tempo and the pace that the Saints are going to run with. Is going to give these guys other opportunities. And then Wan'Dale Robinson, that's another guy that's in play, especially for playing on DraftKings in a PPR format. It's not about him making any of the big plays. It's just going to be about the opportunity and the volume for sure. And then Cam Scatterbo. Cam Scatterbo is a guy that, I was not incredibly high on. Seems like he's just getting.
We're both eating our words with that and Judkins, huh?
Yeah, it's all in the game. All in the game.
Yeah, it's all.
Cam Scatterbo, I nothing to do. Like I don't even like that one is just.
It just took a Tyrone Tracy injury for him to really, get like this. So is it a miss yet? We'll see, but I know he's definitely been playing really well.
I mean, man, like whatever. I'm not losing any sleep over that situation.
No.
No.
Process was right. Process was right.
Well, yeah, whatever. Even if it was wrong, man. Like, hey, like it is what it is. Cam Scatterbo is a guy that, like, I don't, like I said, I think he's a better Sunday player than he is when you look at the measurables and things like that. So it is what it is with that. But yeah, man, like I said, I think for me, I like the Saints at home in this space here. Again, like not messing with the points on this one right here. For me, this is just a straight up like, all right. Like,
because it's pretty much a pick 'em at this point.
I'll take the Saints at home. However, I will say this. I will call this out as well. Defensively, I like the Saints a lot defensively in this space on DraftKings as far as DFS goes. They're inexpensive. They're actually probably the chalkiest defense out there, almost 17%. But only 2,000 on DraftKings. So it gives you a lot of ability and a lot of flexibility on this slate that's like really weird, that has stars, but
scrubs today.
It's not even stars and scrubs for me. It's just like there's stars that are there, but like the main stars that we traditionally are used to, like they're not there. And if they're there, there's obviously a huge flaw. Jamar Chase, obviously we know what that flaw is. No Justin Jefferson on this slate today as well. So like, just like from a pass catching perspective, like for me, like I think like that's what makes it like odd. And then there's a lot of like chalkier value plays.
We have injury alert. Carson Wentz going to the locker room with a left arm injury.
Yeah. So like I just like, yeah. So for me, like just being able to do something different, right? Today, I like the Saints defensively on DraftKings.
Last note I'll say is that Darius Slay at 4,300. Like I talked about earlier, with both teams are pass funnel teams in terms of like pass yards per over expected. So I do like Slay in here. I definitely liked him as a waiver wire claim as well. So I do think he's someone that should definitely be prioritized potentially in this spot if you're getting lower to that in that regard. So Moving on to the Raiders and the Colts. Raiders getting 7 points on the road going into Indy. The game that Mark Sanchez should have called today, but we all know what happened there. Over under 47.5. I think this is another spot where the over should hit. The Raiders games, like for the last couple games, they've just been hitting overs. Like, so when it comes to in that regard, definitely like that. The overall Raiders are giving the second most points to outside. The second most points to outside receivers. Third. And according to play action passes, this is where I like Tyler Warren. He is a recipient on those play action passes that the Raiders get burned on. And I do think this is a good spot for him. 4,700 on DraftKings today is definitely a spot where I definitely love. The overall Colts here is in a prime spot to kind of bounce back a little bit. I know I was on Daniel Jones and Warren actually last week, and Daniel Jones just didn't hit. So he's someone at 5,800 today. Like, he's someone that could be a possibility along with some other names, obviously in the range, just to get a little bit different. And obviously Jonathan Taylor, AK, this is a prime spot where you could easily just play this Taylor and the Colts D and ride that, beautifully game scripted combination if you think the Raiders aren't going to be involved at all. The only other play I would say that gives some merit for the Raiders side, you can play Genty today, obviously, but I think Kobe Myers, obviously 5,600, makes a ton of sense because there's no Brock Bowers and definitely no Micah Mayer. So, like, with Trey Tucker, we talked about him obviously before too. Jacoby Myers, I think, has a reasonable spot, especially for full point PPR purposes. Like, has an opportunity to really have a nice day today. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I tweeted out earlier in the week just about how bad the Colts secondary had been against the pass. So bad that Xavier Howard just had to retire because he was just out here giving up 150 QB ratings to everybody and their mom out here in that space. So I think Geno Smith is in play. For me, not playing him in any on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, I'm definitely playing him in some spots because, like you said, just as far as like how bad the Colts have been to outside receivers. So I think like that's a play. Geno's in play for me. Jacoby's obviously in play. Trey Tucker's in play for me as well, just in terms of, like, again, no Brock Bowers. So he should get some action and he should see some catches. Obviously. And then you flip it over to the Colts side, league's leading rusher, Jonathan Taylor. It's kind of hard to get away from him. He's finally starting to be priced appropriately as far as like most sites go. But I mean, at this point, he's had 183 missed tackle yards, which is fifth amongst running backs over the first 4 games. And that's since 2018. So like, this is some historic stuff that he's on pace for, like, at this point. So obviously he's in play. I think there's a lot of people that feel the same way we do about this game as far as projected ownership. Tyler Warren is coming in at right now at 30%. So that's probably going to be higher than that once kickoff hits as well. And then Jonathan Taylor at 25. The highest owned Raider, obviously, is Jacoby Myers at almost 16%. And like, I love him today. I just feel like this is just a nice bounce back spot for him. So he is a guy that I am playing. I am finding some ways to get to certain pieces in this game. And one guy that I am going to throw out there, if you're playing in GPP formats or just in general, if you're looking for a pay down option, Adonai Mitchell, man. Like, I know he had the botch last week, right? I know that. Right? He had the botch last week. But we're 5 weeks in now. But he drew rave reviews as far as his training camp performance. So like, that's a place that like I'm actually okay with and comfortable getting back to. If I need a pay down option, or if you need a pay down option, that's a place that like you should feel good about, that has a pretty healthy game environment. Because obviously there's a lot of chalkier plays in there. I think everybody's pretty much going to the same game or same games to own players. So I think that's a really good place to get to, is him. And then Daniel Jones. I think this is a really interesting spot for him. For me, it's an interesting spot. Obviously, he had those couple games where he showed up and showed out earlier on in the season. but it's kind of slowed down for him now. It's kind of slowed down for him. He had the QB2 finish in week 1, QB9, QB11, and then QB27 last week. So I think this will just be interesting to see in what space does he bounce back. But overall, in this game, not trying to complicate it. Give me the Indianapolis Colts. I'll take them. And yeah, that's what I got, bro.
Taking the points?
I'll take the points with the Colts. Why not, man? Why not?
Yeah,
I feel all right with that.
I do the same. So 5,100 for Michael Pittman just seems a bit cheap for a wide receiver 1 bona fide. I know it wasn't like the best week for him the week prior, but I do think that the targets were definitely there. He had double-digit targets. So that's something where I do think that Pittman can have a nice day at 5,100 today. Not sure what his ownership is at the moment, but he'd be someone that if, again, like on a slate where you can afford a lot of different things, I think Pittman would be a nice, like, overall, like, play to just be just getting a little bit different on. So
it's not really different. I do have him in one of my lineups. It's like the run back in that space. It's not getting like wildly different. It's 16%. So I think like everybody's there. But to your point, like it's the value of getting him at the price for a wide receiver 1 in a good game that had a good environment or should be a good environment. So I agree with you, man. I think like that's not a terrible place to get to at all. Like I actually love getting to Michael Pittman because obviously if you look at Tyler Warren and Jonathan Taylor, that's 50% of the ownership. And, as we always talk about, really 75% of ownership in this game, Tyler Warren, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, essentially. So you got almost 55 with Warren and Taylor, and then another 15 with Pittman. So really, we just have to pick right. Like we just either have to pick the right player, which sounds obviously redundant, because but all three players probably aren't going to cash in. So that's the piece of it. So just being like, who do you prefer out of this? That does make it a little bit tough for me. Who would you take out of all 3 of those guys?
Out of Pittman, Warren, and Taylor?
Yeah.
I honestly think I don't mind Taylor here in this spot. I think Taylor should be 8,500 in my opinion. And so we're still getting, in my opinion, a $500 cheaper price. And I do think that the game script can definitely run in his favor. So he's someone that, I've prioritized in a few of my lineups that I'm making just because I know that everyone's going to fall in love with the values and try to spin up a receiver. Or like you said, target games that people are going to be already on. So let me just get a little bit different. Let me get Taylor in my lineup and know like that I should get a solid like floor and potentially a great ceiling play at the 8K amongst the running backs today.
Fair.
Next game. Gotta talk about them. Dallas and the Jets. 2 defenses that suck. Both teams are franchises that suck. That being said, shout out to my boy Sergio. He out here on the channel today. He's a Dallas fan. And I'll just say this. The Jets suck. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Jets suck. And but on a professional note, Dallas gives up the most deep receiving yards per game. Guess who's second?
The Jets.
Nope, the Steelers.
Wow. Fair enough. Fair enough.
So, that's what I'll say. I think Dak Prescott's going to be very low in that 6K today across the board on DraftKings, and probably like 5%, 6%, or maybe something like that. Let me know if his ownership changed. But I do think there's a spot where,
Who'd you say?
Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
But yeah, I was saying like, what did I say? The overall terms of this game, right? This should be a shootout type of game. Like Fields going to be very high owned today. The Jets are high owned today in DFS. I get it, the price points, but I've seen this story before. Let's just say that I've seen this story before. And I do think that I like Dak. I like Ferguson. And obviously, you can go to Javonte at 6'2", might definitely get a little bit difference. But obviously the Jets, chalk-ish is coming through. Fields, Breece Hall, who after Braylon Allen, left, with his overall now out pretty much the rest of the season. Took over the backfield share, at 85%. So even before that, he still had a top 6, running back, share in general. So now it's even more higher. So what I'll say is that Breece Hall, I'm definitely prioritizing. I think no matter how the game script goes, Breece Hall should get his almost no matter what. And then Garrett Wilson, obviously 6,100 today. I think that's a good spot as well, especially if you're paying up. What I'll say about Fields is that I do think that he was stellar against man coverage. However, against zone coverage, where Dallas has primarily played, Fields right now is 27th in fantasy points per dropback against zone coverage. That's on the lines of when Spencer Rattler is playing against zone coverages. So obviously the game plan will be for the Jets to run the football and use play action and get Fields on that edge. And again, I think the other side of things goes, we're talking about Dallas, who just put up 40 points against the Packers. So this is a spot where I think the over-under should be easy. It's just more about, can the Jets keep up with it? That's all it is.
Yeah. Javonte is my favorite play, like in this game. Like, he's my favorite play. One of the reasons why is just because the Jets.
Very interesting.
Well, like, the Jets have had like an opportunity, man, as far as.
Well, the defense is trash. Like both gets the run and the pass. So
but like, it is what it is, right? But like, he's my favorite play. Like, I like him. Everybody else is getting to obviously all of the other pieces, right? George Pickens,
Jake Ferguson, Pickens,
yeah, like everybody else is like getting to those other pieces, right?
George Pickens 6,600 today.
Yep. Yeah. So how can you get different, right? Without
Jake Ferg.
Well, no, I mean, like, he's the third highest owned tight end. So like,
yeah, that makes sense. 4,800.
Yeah. And I don't mind playing Ferguson. Like, I don't mind playing him, but like 92, I think I just seen something. 92% of Dak's attempts have been towards receivers. So like, again, George Pickens and some of the other ancillary pieces, Kevontae Turpin,
he's out today.
Tolbert. So like those are a couple of options, right? That you could look out for. Obviously, if Turpin's out, like, then no go. But yeah, Ferguson, like, I'm okay with playing him. He's not my primary tight end that I'm looking at on this slate. There's another guy that I feel like for me is the best value at tight end, and obviously we'll talk about it a little bit later on. But yeah, but the reason why I like Javonte is just because, again, the Jets and their struggles against running backs in between the tackles, and that's where Javonte thrives at. So it's not a matchup where, like, it's an outside thing. And then obviously if this game does shoot out, Javonte Williams, in all reality, should have maybe a couple of touchdowns or, even from a yardage perspective, right? So he's my favorite play, like, out of this group. I do like Justin Fields. It's hard to get away from him, obviously, at the price point, and then obviously knowing what the Cowboys have not done on defense. So that's something that I'm definitely thinking about for sure. But I think a lot of other people as well are pretty high on him. He's almost 18% owned. Garrett Wilson, his ownership, I agree with it. I agree with the ownership, right? 20%. That should be where it's at. Like, he's the real threat as far as pass catchers go for the Jets. And again, in a game that has a game environment that should shoot out, that's not a bad play at all by any stretch of the imagination if we're talking about Garrett Wilson. So of course I always get spooked about games like this right here, where this is where like everybody is going to because
PTSD.
Well, it's not even PTSD, man. It's just like,
well, I was saying a couple of weeks ago you were on Fields and Hall.
Yeah, but just in like games in general, and if I had like one wart for myself, like as far as DFS goes, it is like when everybody is on a game, I'm just like, nope, no, thank you. No, thank you. But I will say this about Wilson too before I wrap it up. 3 out of the last 4 weeks, man, he's been a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 7, wide receiver 53, 2, and 10 for Garrett Wilson. So I do think on the Jets side of this game, I think he's probably the best and safest play no matter what. So Javonte and Garrett Wilson, those would be my 2 favorite plays in this game from a DFS side of things. As far as the game itself goes, got to take the Cowboys, man. Got to take the Cowboys in this space.
You root for a tie.
Oh, Jesus, man. Oh my God. Oh man. Yeah, you could root for a tie. But Dak Prescott so far, 1,100 yards so far this season, QB rating at 95.4. So obviously, he's from a fantasy side of things, he's been doing some work. So yeah, man, this should be a fun game, but of course, wouldn't shock me at all if these defenses showed up today and decided to play some football on the defensive side. So
and they tie again, I quit. Joe, appreciate you coming on, brother. If you got any questions, you guys drop them in the chat, for anything. Season long, your props, whatever. We got you. I got to ride on my team. Got to. It just is what it is. I'm just hoping that, again, I think implied team total for the Jets is 23.5. Seems a bit high. But again, just got to roll with it. It is what it is. Another lost season. Whatever. Texans, Raiders. Texans, slight favorite going on the road to Baltimore. And obviously, not the same Baltimore that we've been used to seeing over the last couple of years. No Lamar Jackson. There's so many defensive starters potentially out. And I believe also, so that Roquan Smith's out today. Marlon Humphrey is out today. And I always butcher his name.
Awuzie.
Good job.
Yeah.
Nnamdi Awuzie, because it used to be Justin. So, but yeah, all those guys are out. And then I believe Kyle Hamilton, was questionable as well.
He's still questionable.
So
he's still questionable. Ronnie Staley's questionable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, this is a spot where I usually don't like Stroud on the road. Because his home road splits are definitely been off. But who's playing this secondary for the Ravens? Because honestly, they've been trashed. The last 4 weeks, the Ravens defense is ranked 31st in yards allowed at 406 yards per game. Dead last in points allowed per game, 33. You know what? Here's a fun fact for you. The Ravens have allowed the most points in the 4-game stretch in their entire franchise history. Wow. Right? Yep. Again, not the Ravens we're used to seeing. And again, Cooper Rush coming into the fold, right? Cooper Rush, obviously, going back, talk about Dallas, right? More of a point-and-shoot quarterback, obviously. There's a little bit of mobility there, but we know he's not Lamar Jackson. The impressive thing about him is that, again, he's going to get the ball out quickly. So this could open up opportunities for, just catches and short and dunk passes and stuff like that. So enter Mark Andrews, enter Zay Flowers, enter Justice Hill. So all those guys could potentially get some looks. Even Keaton Mitchell could probably come in and get some looks here as well, obviously, with with Derrick Henry coming in for the bruiser role, obviously. Texans, they're 11th in sack rate right now and 12th in pressure rate. So all the games that the Texans have gotten pressure, though, the quarterbacks have not fared well. Quarterbacks, when the Texans have gotten, and this is just situation alone when it comes to their pressure rate, quarterbacks are 14 for 41 passing. That's 5 yards per attempt. And they haven't thrown for a touchdown, no interceptions, but the pressure gets there with a passer rating of 53.1 for these quarterbacks when they get pressured. Look, this is not the spot for some of these Ravens, and I do worry about Derrick Henry and him potentially getting phased out. The last thing I'll say about this Ravens defense is that they're 4th in deep receiving yards allowed. So it's Nico Collins, 6,800 today. Anytime you can get Nico Collins under 7K, you're doing great in terms of probably your lineup goes. So he's someone that, this should be a spot where there should be a blow-up spot for Nico Collins against, again, the secondary that we really don't even know who's going to play. I mean, Jair, is that Alexander, the player that they've not been wanting to play? They'll probably have to play him today. Yeah. So I'm not sure if he's masking an injury or whatever, but it's Jair Alexander used to be pretty decent, at corner, and now it's they don't even want to play him. It's so weird. Woody Marks in this game Woody Marks, is definitely, I'd like to go back to him. I believe, I'm not sure what his ownership is right now. So definitely, John, check that out. But I think it's 5,400 from DraftKings today. And Ravens have allowed the second highest success rate and the second most yards per carry against man gap schemes. That comes over from the new offensive coordinator, Haley, for the Texans. So obviously we saw Woody Mark last week shine. And I do think this is a definite spot that he can still get busy again. And it's just, again, all these running back values make it tricky. And obviously the over-under doesn't do us any favors. But yeah, give me the Texans here easily. I think this Texans defense is going to be able to get, at Cooper Rush. And when they do, they're going to cause havoc. And I just think the Ravens, man, I don't know. The only way I really see the Ravens really keeping this thing close is that Derrick Henry gets 27 carries today. And they move the ball with ease with Cooper Rush and him being a point and shoot quarterback. So it is a bit of a different game plan for the Texans. But again, they've already shown that they can get after the quarterback. And when they do, again, like I talked about earlier, the passer rating is not great for these quarterbacks. And now enter Cooper Rush, who, again, like borderline starter backup in this league right now. So yeah, give me the Texans. Over-under is very tricky. But because I like over, I'll just take over.
Yeah, definitely a lot of moving parts to this game, and the Ravens defensively, they have been a mess. I will absolutely say that for sure. I would say this too as well. One of the caveats, with this Ravens defense being a mess, the teams that they have given up yardage to like that, or the teams that have taken yardage like that, the Buffalo Bills, the Detroit Lions, and the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think there's something to be said about that. I wouldn't say that they just completely suck all of a sudden. I would say that hey man, there's definitely some opportunity for that defense. But when you look at the projection that's been put out there, this can also be something in the space where maybe numbers don't tell everything in this space, right?
It's a combination.
Well, right. Again,
always.
Because of the teams that they have played. Now, I'm not putting the Houston Texans in that space as the Detroit Lions, the Kansas City Chiefs, or the Buffalo Bills for sure. And obviously, Lamar Jackson today levels things out tremendously as far as this game goes. So I think there is something to be said about that space. I do, however, believe that the Ravens' run defense has definitely been the biggest opportunity that they've had. So I do like Woody Marks, as you mentioned. So we'll spend a lot more time on that right there. I do like him in that space. Nico Collins definitely got to come to the party at some point in time. This is definitely a really should be
touchdown game performance. Or a Jaden Higgins game finally today.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I still think the Texans offensive line still a problem, right? Still a problem, and we seen it on Thursday night, man. And I will give the Baltimore Ravens credit. Good teams and good coaches still always find a way to be able to go out there and compete. And the Baltimore Ravens, they do still have some of those things there. So I'm not saying it's going to be another Thursday night fiasco, but we just seen what can happen, right? With a backup quarterback, missing players all over the field, it still is the NFL. So I will definitely still put some respect on the Ravens' name as far as that goes. And Derrick Henry, maybe this is one of those games where they try to slow it down. And this is a game where Derrick Henry plays a ton more than his normal 50%.
Hopefully he should.
Plays more than the 50% that he normally plays every week. So this could be a spot, right, where it is, because you got to remember, man, it's getting close to break glass in case of emergency here. If they're a 1 or 3 team, man. So we can't just throw everything out the window for the Ravens and crown the Texans in this space. So with that being said, Derrick Henry obviously 7K. In this spot, 7%. He's owned. I'm not on any of the pass catchers for the Ravens. I agree with you in that space. CJ Stroud, this could be a nice space for him. It could be. I do agree with you. I do agree with you there. This could be a really nice space for him. So for me, I'm gonna take the under in the game for sure.
Okay, that's fair.
definitely gonna take the under. I'm gonna
That's
take
fair
the
to say. This to get ugly.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under. I'm definitely gonna take the under in this game. Man.
Yeah.
As far as to who,
I know you're struggling. I know you're struggling.
Man,
over there for sure. You're struggling. You're struggling.
Man. Yeah,
because
man.
For all people don't know, John's a Steelers fan. So
yeah, man,
he's trying to give the Ravens props because he already knows what type of franchise they are.
Well, yeah, like I'm giving them props, man, too. But like also, right, like I said, man, the Texans, like they, man. You know what? I made the mistake last week. Give me the Ravens. I'm going to take the Ravens again this week. I'm going to take them again at home. Still find a way to be able to pull out a win here and give Lamar a chance when he gets back in a few weeks here. I
like your logic on it, though. You know what I'm saying? It's like, the Ravens, you know what I'm saying? They know they got to get things in gear, and, this could be a spot where, the Ravens could definitely take this one. I think the line is just making things a little bit tricky because it's like it's pretty much a pick 'em. So it's like, but that's understandable. I don't mind what you just said as well. Last game for the 1 o'clocks, Miami going to Carolina. Miami, slight favorite, road favorite going to Carolina over under 45.5. Take this away, Johnny. Take it away, Johnny.
Yeah, like this game right here, this game now all of a sudden Rico Dowdle's back in the picture from a DFS side of the world. So hopefully you're able to kind of pivot and pick him up.
4,300.
As the news for Chuba Hubbard came out. As that news came out earlier in the week with the Cav, and I think like all fantasy managers, anytime we hear anything about a calf, we immediately freak out and think about ACLs. And like the other part of this too, man, Chuba Hubbard has left a lot to be desired in this space so far this year, right? He was a fantasy darling for us last year, but I mean, hey, man, shit happens for sure. So there's that. The other thing too, obviously the Dolphins with Tyreek Hill and the injury on that right there. So like there's going to be some moving parts and some dominoes, and Darren Waller came back from the dead, obviously on Monday night. So this game is a game that I don't expect it to go over the 45.5, just because Carolina typically operates like at a not the fastest pace in the NFL. I think obviously we know what it is with the Dolphins, right, and what they want to do. And in a matchup like this right here, obviously if they can't push the tempo and push the pace and get the Panthers into a situation where Bryce Young has to be the thrower and not a game manager in this game, I think obviously that benefits the Dolphins big time for sure. From an ownership side of things, Devon Achane is definitely he's the cream of the crop today when you just talk about overall fantasy players, right? His pricing, his matchup, it's a really good situation in a really great place. Jalen Waddle, I always get nervous with Jalen Waddle in these situations, in these smash spots. Like I always get grossly nervous in these smash spots for him. But you have the number one wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins at 5,400. And there's a little bit more ownership in this game happening than I would have thought or would have liked to have seen. So yeah, like I like the under. I don't agree with all of the ownership here in this game. Obviously the two guys that like I definitely agree with are Achane and Rico Dowdle. And even with Rico Dowdle, man, like who knows? Like it might not. It's
a salary saver for the most part.
It's a salary, right? It's a salary saver for sure. But again, like we have a lot of other options in this space today as cheaper values, like we just talked about. Like we have Woody Marks, we have Rashad White, right? Like we also have the Arizona running backs that like we could get to if we needed to be able to get different in the DFS space. So I think that's something for me, like just to kind of take into consideration, or just for you guys to take into consideration overall. And then obviously neither one of these guys, as far as quarterbacks, I'm not really interested in, although I do have to start Bryce Young in one league and it makes me kind of sick to say out loud. But yeah, man, I expect Ted McMillan to get his normal workload, right? The Dolphins playing a lot of man coverage and Ted being a man beater. If I'm picking this game, which I have to here for all of the world that is watching, I guess I'm just going to take the Dolphins just because I actually trust them more offensively, and I think they just put together a pretty solid game on Monday Night Football. So give me the Dolphins like in this space. Give me the under. And like I said, like Devon Achane, like find a way to get him into your lineup today. Like it's no shock, it's no secret right today. But I will throw out one more thing before I give it to you, man. If you're looking at tight end, if you're looking at tight end and a really good play at tight end or an inexpensive pay down option, Tommy Tremble today. Tommy Tremble's a nice pay down option today at 2,900. He should be on the field the entire time.
Plenty of tight end.
Yeah. So that's a nice pay down option that I'm looking at.
Well said, bro. Devon Achane.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, like everyone knows I'm a Devon Achane truther. But that being said, look, we all know, unfortunately, Tyreek Hill, done, potentially career done. But yeah, before I get to that, I want to get into the Derrick Henry thing because got a question about trading him, getting offers. To give context, Sergio is in a 14-team league with Derrick Henry. So with Derrick Henry, it's more about like, what am I getting back for him? Because I wouldn't say you're ready to give him up because Henry can come out and ball out today. And we wouldn't be shocked by that because Derrick Henry. The problem is that, you want to make sure you're improving your roster along with this trade or getting something of equal value and then another piece that you believe in. So, for example, if someone gave you an offer for Derrick Henry that involved RJ Harvey and like Emeka Ibuka, or, if you're weak at receiver, or someone gave you RJ Harvey and let's just say a Chris Olave, something like that, something where I wouldn't probably take the second offer, but it's something where you want to get something of value because the person trying to buy Henry is most likely didn't want to draft Henry. So they're probably waiting for a spot to try to see if they could trade for him. So my overall opinion is you just have to double check to see what you're getting back. You want to definitely get a running back for Henry. You're not doing a straight swap running back for receiver. That makes no sense. What you want to do is get two pieces back. So 2 pots of gold for your overall like gold. And I wouldn't say overvalue him, but something where, again, you feel right about making that trade for him, especially a 14-team league where depth goes fast. We know. So any thoughts to overall Derrick Henry and his value potentially moving forward and whatnot?
Derrick Henry, man, like I if you draft Derrick Henry or, even just being aware of like him traditionally and what happens, this is traditionally the time of the year where Derrick Henry doesn't always give you Derrick Henry-esque numbers. When you get the best version of Derrick Henry, it's later on in the season. So I would just say, like, keep that in mind. And just in the same context, right? Like, a lot of these guys don't play a ton in preseason, right? Like, I know they have, like, the inter-squad scrimmages and stuff. So a lot of guys really don't start get rolling until, like, right now, some of, like, your marquee players. And, like, one of the things, like, I'll always say, and I know this and believe it 1,000,000%, some of these guys, like, from a performance side of things, this is not going to be their trend for the entire year. Like, if they are starting off slow, it is probably not going to be their trend for the entire year. If they are starting off ungodly hot, they are not going to stay ungodly hot for the entire year. So, like, I think, like, also too, like, in your case, it's like, all right, like, what does the rest of, the league look like? Like, what's your record, right? For context on things, because this, like, we always talk about it. We want volume from our running backs, and this is going to be a space over the next couple of weeks with Derrick Henry. That is going to be the only way the Baltimore Ravens are going to be able to win is by giving Derrick Henry the ball. You know what I mean?
Football.
Yeah, that's like that's it, right? So yeah. I think obviously it's a lot more attractive when Lamar Jackson is there, like, for sure. And I think even when Lamar comes back, right, depending on what happens with the Ravens as far as like wins and losses, probably going to go into protection mode and try to keep him protected if they can get ready to make a run. So, like, for me, I just think, like, you might just be stepping into prime value of Derrick Henry time frame here. So, yeah, I'd be looking to get a haul back, man, for sure. But that's just me.
Totally. You have to get a haul back for him. Otherwise, just stay put. If you're in a 14-team league, like, you just want to make sure that you're getting something of value back for him because you're the one that drafted him. So I'm not saying you're going to, try to overvalue him. I would just probably just stay put for the moment. But I would say, look, if you get an offer that's decent, you have to consider it. And that's what I would say. But back to Devon Achane. because we love Devon Achane on this channel. Look, Devon Achane leads the league right now, on 6.4 yards per carry. That's in the league in terms of qualifying backs. Hey, 0.41 missed tackles forced per attempt leads all starters in the NFL. He has ripped off 11 runs of 10 plus more yards, most in the NFL. Look, Achane's all-purpose back gets the Panthers today. That is 25th in rush yards per game allowed. So yeah, like there's a lot to love about Devon Achane, and obviously how they deploy him. The yards per routes run 2.14, double the league average at the position. And lastly, 14 catches for 131 yards on the season. Also, what I'll say is that obviously McDaniel's offenses, pre-snap motion, stuff like that, which they're obviously looking to now look to do even more now without Tyreek. So obviously wheels up for Waddle, wheels up for Achane, clearly. Wheels up for Waller if he gets more of that snap percentage, which he should. So yeah, look, I think everything spells for Achane today to really be a difference maker for your season-long purposes and also obviously for DFS lineups. 7,300 on DraftKings. Give me that price all day because we all know Devon Achane. All he needs is like 24 points, whatever, and we all know that ceiling is there with one breakaway run. So that's what I got. And yeah, anytime I got come through anytime. But for the game, I like the Dolphins to win. I like the over because of with the Panthers, right? They're a weird team, right? I do think they play better at home. So that is where I think Miami's going to be a struggle. Miami's still, when it comes to their run defense, still not pretty. And where they want it to be, because obviously the lowly Jets just gashed them up for rushing yards as well. So yeah, look, I think there's a lot to like in this game from both sides. That's probably why people are, getting onto this. Tedero, what I'm saying, is definitely a spot you can get to. Rico, obviously, we just talked about. He's like 4,300. I just think he's a locked in, one of your RB spots because of just the price tag. And, Miami, every starting running back that's gone against them this year have had at least 12 fantasy points or more at the running back position. So with Dallas Price, that's already 3x. So if he even gets 3x the price, that's already locked in, free square baked in, and then anything more on top of that is just cream on top of it. So that's where I like. And then Waller, he's somewhere you can get to, but I kind of like him more as a prop. He's an unofficial play. I think it's like 30 yards receiving. That's unofficial. So I kind of like that. But other than that, Carolina, lastly, I'll say they are second in the second lowest pressure rated defense. So this could be a great game for setting up for Tua. So I might have to even reconsider his pass prop today, actually. So, but that being said, Dolphins and the over in this matchup. 4 o'clock games, here we come. So 6 games in the 1 o'clock window, four games in the 4 o'clock window, which balances out pretty right for some of us. First game we'll get to is the Tennessee Titans go on the road to Arizona. Titans are 7.5-point dogs going to Arizona. The over-under here is 41.5. My notes for this game, really, there aren't so many. Because we all know that the Titans, they were really sourly disappointing. There's a lot to love about Cam Ward, Ridley, stuff like that. The good news is they do get I think Tajay Spears is going to be playing today. I think I heard some news that he's playing today. So that could be a decent weapon to get back. Unfortunately, James Conner done for the year, so that Arizona offense looks, now a bit more dampered. But it becomes more narrow in terms of who's going to get the ball. Obviously, DeMarcado and Michael Carter, and even Bam Knight. Didn't think I'd say that name again anytime soon. All these guys potentially getting some looks in this committee as basically saying that both of these Arizona's going to ride a hot hand and that Michael Carter is probably going to be playing the thumper role for a second down with DeMarcado playing third down. I think they're all going to get mixed in. We'll just kind of see what happens. All of them is pretty cheap for the price. People are Kyler Murray, obviously, because he should benefit more from a rushing perspective without Connor in terms of scramble ability. And, Tennessee, again, they're as a team, it's just been a mess. There is, and then what I'll also say is that, when it comes to zone coverage where, Tennessee likes to play a good amount of quarters and overall cover fours. McBride has earned a 26% target share on routes per zone, and MHJ is 18%. So these are spots where I'm not sure what. Can you check the ownership on McBride, because I know he's 5,800 today on DraftKings.
20%.
He's high.
Yeah. Like I said, man, there's only 3 tight ends, and then it's everybody else. So
it's everybody else. So it's McBride, it's Ferguson, it's Warren, and everybody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. That makes sense. So I mean, look, so we're not getting too sneaky with Brad, I guess, today. But 5,800 is like a really decent spot. The only thing that I think I played him in our spot, my head-to-head lineup against Rick. I'm not sure if he's still on. But he's got 150 lineups to make, I guess.
My man. My man, you know what it is. I know what it is, Rick. I know, brother.
So yeah. But yeah, McBride in the head-to-head for him for charity this week. So but that being said, I think this is an interesting spot for Tennessee. I'll just say that. Cardinals allow the 3rd most receptions per game to wide receivers. So they got to make sure Ridley's playing. But it was weird just seeing coming out of this previous game where Lockett was still seeing 93% of routes run, and Ridley still was only running 50% or whatever. It was really weird. So Alec Engelmanner, obviously, who we loved. We told people don't leave your drafts without him. This could be a spot where he could definitely potentially be really good in this matchup. And if you need someone that's a little bit more flex worthy this week, he's definitely someone that you should be popping into your lineups this week. Over under here, it's tricky. Pretty tricky. Another one of these games I might start off a bit slow and then it picks up a bit. So give me the over barely. And the Titans, I'll just pick the Cardinals to win. I'm not sure if I'm gonna play this points in the spread because I just need to see it for the Titans now. They really, as a team in general, no bueno.
Yeah, no, that's fair, man. I don't know, this game for me, it's one of those games where I think this game could go over.
Ravens without Kyle Hamilton today.
Bro. Yeah. Man. I might be backpedaling faster than a New York Jet defensive back out here. Yeah. Yikes.
Oh,
okay. So, yeah. Wow. Okay. Not to say that one player, makes a difference, but one pop, 2 pop, 3 pop, 4 pop, 3 pop.
Pretty much,
pop,
bro.
1.
Yeah. Your pop, you pop, your pop. None.
Yeah, that's where we are at right now.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
The Titans Cardinals, yeah.
No,
this game.
I
got more news for you. Ronnie Stanley's not playing today, left tackle.
Yeah, he was questionable. So yeah, this is I think I'm gonna go back and I think I'm gonna take the Texans now.
Let's timestamp that.
Yeah. I'm taking the Texans now.
You told me to take the Ravens. No, I changed my opinion.
Taking the Texans now, brother. Taking the Texans now. Man. Wow. All right, Titans and Cardinals. I like this spot for a couple of different places for DFS. You mentioned it. There are actually a couple of defenses that leave a lot to be desired. The Titans are literally the worst run defense in the NFL. And of course, this week they get the Arizona Cardinals and the 3 running backs that you have to decipher from on who to pick.
I just traded away DeMarcado to get Rashee Rice.
Yeah, I'll take that one offline because I'm not even going to go right now because I think I'm not even. All I'm just going to say is like definitely minusculing my drafts, my leagues next year because I cannot be a part of those shenanigans because no type of league vote, no type of, and everybody's just sitting here like, oh yeah, that's cool. Cardinals and Titans. Again, the Cardinals and the running backs, like somebody's gonna pop. To say who it is, couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you who it's gonna be, but it's gonna be somebody's gonna pop for that group, just because the Titans have been that bad. The other thing too, like for the Titans, just defensively, like they've been one of the worst defenses. I believe they're probably I think they're bottom 5 in the NFL as far as red zone pass defense. So I think this obviously explains why Trey McBride is so highly owned. Could be a really good place for Kyler Murray just to bounce back overall, just from a production side of things. If Tennessee is able to put up a couple of points, then maybe this could be a really nice spot for Kyler Murray overall as far as DFS goes. And just his performance, obviously season long as well. And you're right with Alec Amenor. Again, like if you're building your lineups, and I think 4,300, I believe, is his price, and you get there 4,100, and you get there, hey man, like that's a really nice place to land at for sure. Getting volume, leading the Titans in receiving so far year to date, just like we all mapped it out back in August. So yeah, like I like that, and I think also too Chig's in play as well today. As far as tight end goes, 3.3 K. So not in the 2K range that I would really, love to see. But overall, man, like I think this could be a game that, I think it does hit the over in this space because I just think both defenses just they're not very good. And this could be like maybe we might actually finally start to see some signs from Cam Ward at this place or at this space, I should say, for him. But yeah, like Trey McBride's the highest owned guy. A lot of people playing the Cardinals defense. And then from there, it's Kyler Murray. Highest owned Titan is Tony Pollard, which I think obviously now like Tajay Spears coming back now. So now we got another running back timeshare that we got to get ready to deal with. And then Calvin Ridley, does he play? Does he not play with the bad knee and all this other stuff? Like, we don't know. Like, that's been a mess.
All that stuff.
And I'm starting to like literally despise him the more that I see Roma Dunze just ball out every single Sunday. I'll have some whipped cream on that bowl of shit that I'm eating with Calvin Ridley, please.
Damn. Yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yep.
Bucks Seahawks. Bucks getting 3.5 in a row going to Seattle. Over under is 44.5. Yeah, I mean, I think this is gonna be one of those competitive type of like NFC battles, where it just comes down to I think who will just make a few more plays than the other. Baker's in a good spot. If you have him in season long, you're definitely starting him in this spot. Baker is just letting it fly, literally. Don't matter if Mike Evans or Mecca, it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Even Chris Godwin had 10 targets last week. Like, I thought he was going to be taking it so low. He had 10 targets last week. And they caught like 3 of those, but still, it was like, what? But that being said, with Baker, the Seattle Seahawks, in terms of their defensive scheme, they're running a lot of cover 4, and a lot of cover 6s. So Baker coming into this one, he's top 8 in deep throw rate that leads the NFL in cover 6 defenses, and then he's a top 8 in this category as well against cover 4s. So I do think that Baker's statistically is going to have a decent spot, and I think this is going to be a spot where he's going to be under-owned for sure. He has some sneaky rushing upside as well. So I do like Baker for sure. If we're playing single entry and stuff like that, for sure, definitely for those, or your 3 max or whatever, or 20 max entries, whatever. I like those for DraftKings purposes. And then with Emeka, talking about him in the same vein, he has a 30% target share against cover 4s. So that's about 5 yards, per route run against quarters as well. So yeah, like definitely like the Bucks here in terms of just like how they are going to keep things going in this one. So give me them with the points. Give me another points than I do like the over because with Seattle, like Darnold's playing really well. And in terms of Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet and JSN, a lot of weapons go around too. This could be one of those games where easily it's like it's like 28, 20, 28, 22, whatever, something like that. Something real close or whatever. But the Bucs are just gonna keep fighting. So I like the points for the Bucs today, and then give me the over because I do think this is one of those games where a spot where people aren't looking to enough. But there's going to be secondary pieces like, obviously Rashad White and stuff like that. So, but yeah, what you got, Donnie?
Yeah. No, this is my favorite game to get to. Just because, like you said, like I definitely like people aren't on this game enough, for sure. So like the 4:00 games is going to be weird. Just sitting here waiting for all of my 4:00 plays.
It's gonna be one of those games today for you.
Yeah, it is. I'm gonna try to get on my wife's side a little bit earlier here in the morning, or a little bit earlier in the day, so I can really zone in on these 4:00 games because that's where I'm playing, right? But like you talked about Baker, like I agree. I think there's a really good spot for him, for sure. And really, the main reason why I think it's a good spot is just because, like, both of these teams are going to end up scoring points. Like I believe that wholeheartedly today, so I'm taking the over. Both teams are pretty good against the run, so there should be a lot of passes that do happen, which means the clock's going to stop and more opportunities to run plays, et cetera, et cetera. One thing I will call out, though, like you were talking about Baker, Sam Darnold, man. Obviously, we know Tampa Bay is going to get after it with the blitz. Darnold's got 458 passing yards this season against the blitz, which is third in the NFL. And with that, like, obviously we know where the ball is going to be going. It's going to be going to JSN, who's also tied for the league in receptions, as well as Emeka Egbuka. So you have really the two premier pass catchers in the NFL in one game here today. So like that, I'm excited about that. With Seattle, like there's not a lot of other places the ball goes except for to Kenneth Walker. So that's a place that I don't necessarily love him as a DFS play per se. But he should rack up today as far as pass catching goes because Tampa Bay is dead last as far as pass plays, yards allowed per pass to running back. So I think it's a really good spot for Ken Walker. Like if you're looking for like a prop or anything like that to go, obviously on DraftKings, if you're looking in that space, like nobody is playing Ken Walker today at home. Nobody. Like 0.80 projected ownership for Ken Walker. So I'm probably going to go back and take a look at
right
one of those two lineups that I
think
got.
People are still nervous that Charbonnet still gets involved, obviously too. So that's probably has something to do with it.
Yeah, like that, like they're nervous and uncertain, right? Nervous and uncertain, and then obviously too Tampa Bay being pretty good against the run, I think is also like another element of this that people obviously got to be taken into consideration. So there's that. You mentioned Chris Godwin, which is a guy that like I am playing him in a couple of those lineups as well. You mentioned it, double-digit targets in his first week back, only caught 3 of them, right? But like obviously Baker Mayfield feels comfortable going right back to him again. So like that right there, like he's probably, for me right now, I think like he's the best value at wide receiver on this slate today because like what you're getting like with him, right? Like, and obviously there was no slow roll in this situation. And then Rashad White, obviously he is he's one of the chalkier plays of the week, obviously in DFS, which makes sense. Some familiarity there with him being the lead back. So I look at that. And then I think Seattle's also had an opportunity as well against running backs as far as receiving. So like, I think this one has the potential to be a really good game. Disclaimer, very good teams in situations that we expect a lot of points. Sometimes it can turn out the other way where both of these defenses decide to show up, maybe get a couple of turnovers and nobody scores points. So I will throw a disclaimer out there in that space that this isn't two bad football teams with a lot of offensive firepower like the Jets and the Cowboys. These are two really good teams that have a lot of offensive firepower and are pretty good against defense. And are pretty good defensively. So should be an overall really good NFL football game. I do like the Bucs and the points in this game on the road. I think we've seen, man, Baker Mayfield, he's just going to keep fighting, man. He's going to keep fighting. He's going to keep punching no matter what it is. So even if the Seahawks get up in this game, There's always the chance for Baker Mayfield and the Bucs to come back and maybe sneak out a win. But I definitely like the Bucs and the points on the back end of this game here as well.
Yeah, solid. Solid, my guy, for sure. Yeah. God. Lions. Bengals.
Don't
Lions,
you do it.
Bengals.
Don't you do it. Don't you dare do it. Don't you dare do it. Don't you fucking do it. Don't you do it.
You know I thought about it, right?
Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
That being said, no, this is a spot for the Lions onslaught, right? If we're building, a GPP like lineup, whatever, like just put all our Lions in and watch them go eat, literally. Vegas has a 30-point implied team total for the Lions today. So yeah, that is where like we could go golf, St. Brown, like Gibbs, you could go with Montgomery / Laporta. This could be the spot where, them alone, they could cover the 30 easily. So I definitely like the Lions for terms of like, your overall DFS lines today, because the Bengals are just the Bengals right now. St. Brown especially, 7,900 today, and on DraftKings, and Bengals allowed the most receiving yards allowed, 10 yards or fewer. So I do like that spot there. For Chase, obviously on the other side is the only play I would do. Lions allow the 9th most yards to outside receivers, and Chase right now is still getting 8 targets a game. For as crappy as Browning's been. So yeah, I mean, look, Chase Brown really is someone that very GPP, but he's just not been getting the dump down work and everything either. So it's very hard to trust him in this spot. And obviously T. Higgins, who I was solely not drafting. And obviously circumstances changed, obviously. But it still, like, Higgins was still going way too high when we're talking about him draft season. So yeah, look, I think Detroit just comes out and smacks those cheeks. So I'm okay taking the spread here. The only way I really see the Bengals, finding a way to stay in this one is like a special teams play, a momentum shift, whatever have you. But yeah, look, that's how I see it in terms of like how this could go. The over under. Can the Bengals get 20 points? Probably not. Can the Lions get 40 points though? Like, can it be a 40-10 route? Like, it's totally possible. I guess I'll just take the slight under here just because I just have no idea how the Bengals offensively are going to do it. And unless Detroit's going to win 50-0, which could happen, then yeah, like, I'm all set.
Yeah. You ask if the Lions could score 40 points. Yep, they can. Could they score 50? Yep, they can. Could the Bengals score 20 points? They could if the Lions score 50. So I think that all things are on the table, because when you look at Cincinnati, hey man, the Lions. This game is more about how do the Lions want to win? Like, what are the areas that they feel like they need to clean up and get some reps in here in this space. Like, I know I just went on a rant, 30 minutes ago about the Ravens and, whatever. And, how, they're, an NFL team. Cincinnati's an NFL team too, but defensively, like, we knew in July
that you're showing the Ravens too much love for a Steelers fan.
No, this is respect, man. This is me taking off my blinders and being like, all right, like, let's give the love due where it's at. But yeah, the Bengals, man, they're the worst in the NFL against slot receivers. Well, Amon-Ra, J-Mo, if you want to get cute. All right. They're worse. They're the worst against the run. All right. Jahmyr Gibbs, Montgomery, they're the worst in the NFL at, contacting a running back as far as how far he gets down the field. They're the worst at that. And oh, by the way, Jahmyr Gibbs is coming to town. Like, they are dead last in pressure in the NFL. And Jared Goff's like 8th in the league, as far as QB rating in a clean pocket. So, like, you just got to pick the right space, right? You got to pick the right space. So, one of my lineups, I'm just trying not to overthink it. I'm just trying to be like, all right, like, hey, like Jahmyr Gibbs, like, let's go ahead and get him out there and, like, let's see what he puts up today, right? from a performance side of things. So I'm comfortable in that space. Amon-Ra is the highest priced wide receiver, and that's kind of crazy that we're week 5 and he's the highest priced wide receiver on DraftKings and on FanDuel. But obviously deservedly so, right? So there's that. J-Mo, like this could be a great space for him. We know all it takes is, 4 catches, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns for him. So like that could be like a really nice play right there. So and then Jared Goff, right? Like I think one of the things I've learned over the past as far as playing DFS, right, in these type of games, like a lot of people will be shy on these players, but like they got to get there somewhere. And then it's like, oh, like when there's these big games, like I think it was last week on Monday night, it was Montgomery, the one who actually really popped off, and not Jahmyr Gibbs. So, somebody's going to be the beneficiary that gets there. And like, again, if you're building your lineups through hand, and you're getting to a place where, again, tight end, always like kind of bring it back like to like a onesie position, tight end or quarterback, right? Obviously you can play Laporta just to be like a little bit different, 8% owned. You can play Jared Goff, who we know he's not going to give you anything in the rushing game, but like to be in a game environment that has a 50-point implied total with potential ticking time bombs waiting on the outside of receivers for Cincinnati, as you mentioned, like any week, man, like, if you're playing players that are going against Cincinnati, we know, man, these guys, they're pros. And Jamar Chase, he can get behind guys, man. He can get behind
Sure
guys. He don't even have to get behind you, man. He can just hit the middle and go. So, like, there's always that possibility, right, in that space. So, but, yeah, I'm with you, bro. Like, give me the Lions. I ain't going to waste any more of my hot air on this game right here, man.
Oh, boy. Commanders, Chargers, final game we'll talk about for the slate so far. We are live after the afternoon games, so feel free to hop on around like 7:15, 7:20-ish. We'll be live once again, recapping all the games and, getting you guys ready for Sunday Night Football, where the Patriots go into Buffalo to take on the Bills. So without further ado, of course, we'll talk about a game that I think has definitely some shootout potential. Commanders going into Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. Commanders are a 2.5-point underdog. Jaden Daniels is playing today. There's no brace because there was a report that he was going to have a brace or whatever. There's no longer having a brace there. And the over-under 47.5. What I'll say about this one is really just a few things that I think both of these teams, the reason why I think it could be a shootout is because Chargers right now, second in pass rate over expected, and the Commanders have given up the 5th most passing yards, so and most yards per pass attempt in the league. So this is a spot where I do think that people were talking about Ladd a lot and everything, and I do think that, this is a spot where Ladd could definitely get a bit busy, but Quentin Johnson ain't going away in terms of that. And then, you have, Keenan Allen, he ain't going away either. So it's going to be one of those situations where, you drafted Ladd, you just got to keep playing him unless you get a solid offer back in return. Like it, it just is what it is at this moment. But I do think there's a spot where, Ladd could definitely have his way. And, that's just kind of how I see fit when it comes to that. The Commander side of things, they've been good against gap blocking. So they've been giving up the second fewest yards per carry. So it's not exactly good news for Hampton, but I do think that Hampton's too talented to be, bottled up like that. So he can still get it. He can still do it through the, via pass, catching all these dump offs that, they've been showcasing with Hampton forward, because people were talking about that earlier in the season. We're like, is Hampton going to get some of these, these pass catching opportunities and whatnot, like a true, LaDainian Tomlinson-esque
man,
type of
don't you
usage.
That, boy, what's wrong with you? I like Omari on Hampton, man. You better put some. That's
what are you talking about?
Woo! Omari on Hampton and LT in the same breath.
Yeah, I know, right? What do you think about that? No, you don't like that?
Not yet. No, not yet, man. Not yet.
Okay. But in terms of that goes, I mean, I do think Hampton could get there too. I just think there's a lot of pieces to like in this offense, on both sides. And the other side of it for the Commanders, the Chargers are allowing the, in terms of positive pass rate over expected, they are, along with the Giants, are the only two teams that are really high in that category. So wheels up for Debo, because obviously all the short area stuff, and give me Zach Ertz in this area too. So that way, both of these guys can definitely operate. No Taylor McLaurin today. Who's going to be the field stretcher for this offense? I don't know. Like Luke McCaffrey? It's potentially that. Maybe they go to Jalen Lane. Maybe they go with Chris Moore. Like, I don't know who's going to be field stretching for this team today. So, we could get there with Jaden Daniels all of a sudden just running. You know what I'm saying? Just opening things up a bit more. So, they should have. Obviously, they could start Mariota again if they really wanted to, but then Daniels, seems to be healthy. So, give me the over in this game and give me the Chargers.
That's fair. This is a game right here that definitely projects for me. Like, I think this game here projects from a number of plays being ran and opportunities. This game projects as like that game, like the game that like we're all hoping to get. Commanders are still, one of the fastest paced teams in the NFL in terms of like they're running like the no huddle and stuff like that. And the Chargers obviously have a lot of firepower to be able to keep up here. So I think like that's obviously like great for DFS players. A couple of other call outs, like you talked about Ladd McConkey and Keenan Allen. Commanders have struggled against the slot this year. They've struggled really just in the interior as far as like the passing in the middle of the field, the passing game for sure. Oronde Gadsden is a nice play today when you're looking at DFS. He's inexpensive. And the Commanders, they are 30th in yards per route allowed to that position. So, again, you're talking about a pay down option. Like, he's the guy that I think, like, you could definitely do a lot of damage with and get some exposure to this game. Zach Ertz, I agree with you, man. Zach Ertz is definitely – he's the tight end that, like, I like the most on this slate. Just because, like, if it's a situation where the Commanders are losing or they're down at any point in time, all of his advanced metrics jump through the roof in terms of, his targets, his receptions, his yards, all of those things. So, if you're taking the Chargers, then you almost, I don't want to say almost default, but the impact of that right there is Zach Ertz being the guy. And then you mentioned Debo. Debo is this game. There's a lot of guys that are, relatively high owned in this space. So Debo is one of those guys. He's at 17%. He's actually the projected highest owned commander here. So,
I'll be some Debo Samuel.
Yep. So yeah, and then like you're getting to a place too where like we always say this, man, like Jaden Daniels, man, coming in at 6% owned today. Ain't too many days you're gonna be able to get JD5 not being played by a lot of people. And like I just have a very, very sneaky suspicion that he is healthy. And if he is healthy, then I think we all know what that means from a performance and a production side of things. So there's that. And then obviously the pass catchers for the Chargers, said it 2 weeks ago, like Quentin Johnston is the number one wide receiver for the Chargers. Like this is where we're at. Right. And then Ladd McConkey, like you just kind of have to hold your nose and play him in season long. Keenan Allen is just like, it's very similar to like a Derrick Henry, right? Where when he gets on the field, high probability that's where the ball is going, not playing a ton of snaps, right? Because obviously he's a little bit longer in the tooth. But him and Justin Herbert, man, like they have that connection. So like, don't be afraid of that right there coming in at 10% owned. So if as far as like from a game perspective, who am I picking? I
know, right?
I think I'm just going to take the Chargers, man. I'm going to take the Chargers because they're at home. And then again, like some of the things that like I talked about that the Commanders have problems with defensively are the things that the Chargers are really great at. So I just think like it just makes for a tougher matchup, right? And also like I know the Chargers are a little bit banged up on the defensive side of the ball as well. But yeah, I like this game a lot, and I'll take the Chargers and ride with it, man.
Hey Haywood, for your player prop parlay on Twitter, let me know a substitute for Jefferson. What you got for a substitute for Jefferson? And I'll roll with you on that. But yeah, I mean, look, yeah, I think both of these teams, this could be a situation where, like last night's, UFC card last night, man, it was definitely epic. But it also like, man, like you see UFC or not? No,
man. I was watching last night. No, last night, bro. No, dude. I don't go to bed. There's one day of the week, like I never go to bed early, and that's Saturday. Like Saturday and Sunday, like those are the 2 days that like Saturday. What game was I watching last night? Saturday night. Oh, I started watching Miami. And Florida State, and that got out of hand. And then I started watching a little MLB baseball. I actually started watching the Mariners last night. So yeah, just UFC, man. Like I used to watch it like before I had kids, and then like, bro, like I can't do.
They keep
like,
up.
I can't. Like number one, like I'm not paying this amount of money. Number two, like I can't last till 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning driving back home from my homie's house.
Oh yeah, right.
Can't do it. Can't do it. Y'all can have it, man. Y'all can have it.
Oh man, that's fair. But yeah, that's the game by game breakdown. Haywood, yo, he giving us too much love. We love Jeff Mans and Bob Harris. I normally do on Sunday mornings. He's like, hell nah.
Love it, bro. Love it, man. Appreciate the love.
Man, yo. But yeah, I saw that on Twitter. But Jefferson, obviously, we can't do it now because Jefferson's playing already, and I already hit. So I was saying there's another play that you got and substitute that, and I would take obviously the Scatterbo and the Gino. But talk about props, baby. Whew, we hot in this kitchen. That being said, the prop shop is 24-16 on the year. We had some awesome bounce backs the last couple of weeks. We've been hot for prime time. We are 6-0, John, in the prop shop. The last overall player props for singles. So looking to keep that trend going. That being said, your core 4 betting plays for week 5 is upon you. So that being said, first guy, guys, Jake Ferguson. Ferguson over 5.5 catches. Best line I got, I think it was a -112 on FanDuel. And this line's way too low for a game in which, again, Packers just put up the Cowboys just put up 40 points against Packers. And this is a spot where Jake Ferguson has seen double-digit targets in 2 of the last 3 weeks. I think this trend still continues, where Ferguson is going to be this nice short intermediate guy that gets a good amount of routes, cross formations. They're going to use him in mismatch situations against the Jets linebackers. And, this should be a spot where Ferguson should eat. Obviously, no CeeDee Lamb. And, obviously now no Turpin. So there's no weird – I wouldn't say there's no weird trickery or whatever. But this is a spot where it should be standard, where Ferguson should get this. And I'd be a little surprised if he didn't hit this before the fourth quarter. Let's just say that. Garrett Wilson, over 65.5 receiving yards. Best line I saw was on FanDuel. Look, Jets got to keep throwing the football. The applied team total tells us that. The over-under says that. And, based on DFS trends, like a lot of people like Garrett Wilson, 6,100 on DraftKings. But again, for this line, Garrett Wilson, it may look a little weird at first because they're just going to want to run the football. But I do think in time where, the play action starts opening up, Garrett Wilson should hit this line. Favorite of the channel, Devon H. Over 64.5 rush yards. HN can do this in one player, right? But I do think when it comes to HN, he's been really utilized as a nice, piece to the offense that provides the speed. Like I talked about earlier, he has 11, 10 plus or more yard runs. So he can totally do this before halftime. Obviously, Ollie Gordon, I saw his line too. You could take that line. I think it was like 20 or 21.5 rush yards. That's pretty easy. You could take that as well. If you think Miami could salt away the game, obviously late. But I do think that HN, for the other lines, like I think I saw like 30-something yards receiving for HN. That's obviously too low. But I want to just go with the rush yard because they have to implement more of their run game as well to keep, defenses, from getting more pressure because Carolina doesn't bring enough pressure. So I do love HN in this spot. Going with a interesting, how you call it? I love this spot because of the emotion that's going to come with it. And that's David Montgomery, over 55.5 rush yards. Obviously, game script wise, this should be something that comes into play. I know Gibbs is becoming more and more of that RB1 week by week. However, with David Montgomery here, he returns home, first off, where he played his college ball at. And now there's a, not to say now, but his sister overall was paralyzed. So that's something where, again, the emotion, returning home, you want to put on a showcase and performance. The anytime touchdown was a bit juiced for me, minus 180. So I wasn't really you can play that in addition to this, but I do think that because of how the game script goes, I do think that Montgomery's this 55.5 is 56 is very doable. And the last one, it's kind of an addition to the core four, in a way, but Baker Mayfield over 219 pass yards. Like to talk about before, Saints, Seahawks zone defenses. They play a lot of cover 4, cover 6s. Baker doesn't care. He throws into those windows anyway. So him and Emeka Ibuka, obviously, and Rashad White catching things underneath because Seattle's also weak against receiving running backs. So I love the line here for Baker. This line's too low. This should easily be 240, 245, whatever for Baker Mayfield. So I'm going to take that to the bank for the 4. For the other plays I have, these will be official plays. You can play them. You don't have to play them. But the other guys, the other plays, I got J.K. Dobbins over 51.5 rush yards on DraftKings. I know the Eagles is obviously a tough front to run against. But look, Dobbins has hit this line at least by 20 or more yards every game so far this season. If you're telling me that they got to keep things balanced with Dobbins, this line's way too low. Alec Minor over 39.5 receiving yards. We talked about earlier. Cardinals allow third most receptions to receivers, and with Amenora, he is a guy that his snap share and his routes run haven't changed versus Calvin Ridley. He seems to be the wide receiver 1 at this moment. And in addition to that, I got Cam Ward over 179 passing yards. I just think this should be the spot where, I'm not gonna say Tennessee's gonna get right, but I do think this line's way too low for a quarterback that is uberly as talented as Cam Ward. They know that they have to turn things around to at least be somewhat competitive, get some type of momentum. And I think this line is just way too low. I just think this is a nice advantage spot that we could take advantage of the books on. And then lastly, CJ Stroud over 214 passing yards. Same thing. If you want to take Nico, obviously you can, obviously, but I do think that CJ Stroud, worst case scenario, so to speak, is that the Houston Texans are going to be somewhat playing from behind in a weird game script situation. But even if they aren't, they still got to throw the football. We know this Houston offensive line is not the best. So CJ Stroud's going to have to get the ball out still quickly. So I do like the over 214 passing yards. Haywood's going crazy for us. We really appreciate that. The fight ended so fast is right. I was Alex Pereira, got back his championship, no problem. That overhand he hit him with, I was ooh, he hurt him. And it was a wrap after that. McBride for 4 catches. Okay, I like that. Okay, I'll put that in the parlay and I'll let you know how that goes. Sergio, yeah, we have great chemistry here. We really appreciate that. John's the homie for sure. For sure. And yep. So yeah, that's the third leg. Yeah. If my bird gang loses today, please check on me later. Dude, check on me. The Jets are winless. Freaking crap. But like I said, next show, we're live after the Sunday afternoon game. So come back here about 7:20-ish, 7:30 at the latest. We'll give you Sunday Night Football. Again, Patriots and the Bills. Where I have a couple of props for you guys in that game as well. And we'll break that down as well. Johnny, I'm going to ask you.
What do I got?
No, any final thoughts?
Yeah, same difference. Good luck to everybody out there playing today. May all your
you and I face each other in the cookout league today.
Yeah, you got me. I'm limping in that league, so I'll go ahead and take my L on that one and keep it pushing. Yikes! So I hope you come in second place because you're playing me, and anybody that's playing me, I hope you come in second place. If not, man, obviously, man, wishing you success. And man, I'll sprinkle this out there, man. and your team comes out at the end of this week healthy, man. Like,
oh my God,
your team comes out at the end of this week
said it.
healthy, man. But other than that, man, like, just get ready for, I would say, like, the 1 o'clock window is going to be, probably should be a little bit slow, but after that, man, like, the 4 o'clock games pick up, and I think that's where a lot of money will be made today.
Yeah, that's fair. Appreciate you, Haywood, as always. And the last question, when is Shedeur Sanders getting in the game? I mean, Dylan Gabriel looked really good.
Yeah, he hasn't looked bad.
So I don't know if he's going to get any time to now.
Bad.
16 for 26. I mean, he only threw for 135 yards, threw 2 touchdowns. So
the Browns are supposed to suck worse than this. So this is messing up my trajectory on this.
I love that.
They're supposed to suck, man. They're supposed to suck.
Oh man, yo. But yeah, as we see, as we're seeing it live, Browns are up 3 points in London, taking on the Vikings. But yeah. Anyhow, we out of here. We see you guys after the afternoon games. Peace out.